living on a disk, floating through space, with a tiny sun.
Hey, I'm FTFE. Welcome back to the channel that hates stupidity and fights it wherever it can find it. Flat Earther has been asking me to debate, says they have evidence. Now, I've never met a Flat Earther with evidence before, so this should be interesting. Andrew, welcome to the show. So, first off, you are a Flat Earther. Why do you believe the Earth's flat?
Do you believe you were taught lies, or do you believe you were completely taught the truth? Anyway.
I believe that I can discern what the truth is.
Based on what?
Based on my understanding of the universe that I've worked very hard to acquire.
The universe is how far we can see in front of us.
Based on my understanding of the physical world and the studying that I've done that allows me to discern what is the truth. I've also had no reason to believe that I'm being lied to. So is your reason for being a flat earther that you think people are lying to you? Is that why you are a flat earther?
No, the majority think it's a globe. That's...
I mean, I don't think it's a globe. I know 100% conclusively that the Earth is a globe.
Yeah, we were all taught it was a globe.
Well,
every single last one of us was taught it was a globe.
Yeah, that's because they teach us things at school which are real. And
did they teach you the flat Earth? Did they teach you the geocentric model?
No, because that is not something that needs to be taught because it's not real. You do know that geocentrism and flat Earth are not the same thing, right? Geocentrists know the Earth is a globe.
Well, I'm just basing it off.
Sorry, you got a bit quiet there.
Just basing it off the Earth being in the center.
Yeah, well,
whatever model you like to use.
Geocentrists in general think that the Earth is a globe, but you know the sun orbits us and stuff, which is just pretty stupid as it goes. But flat Earth is
geocentric, but okay.
So, but you think the Earth is flat, though, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I don't see everything that I see. You can't show me one computer program that doesn't involve CGI that displays the globe or any spherical model of Earth.
Wait,
it just does not exist. Every single one, I can point out how it may have been fraudulently.
Sorry, so you just said I can't show you any computer program that isn't CGI. Well,
yeah, bring one up.
That's kind of what computer programs are. Computer programs are CGI. I mean, I can show you tons of pictures that are not CGI in any way, shape, or form. I mean, there's really quite easy ones to show that weren't CGI.
A photo? Yeah, show me.
You
display it, show me.
I mean, that 1972, taken on a Hasselblad camera with an 80mm film. That is an actual. That is the original Blue Marble from 1972, and computer CGI didn't exist back then. The best computer technology we had was the video game Pong.
Yes, but what continents that were lit up at that time is recorded? Give me a second.
I don't understand your point. I mean, this is a shot of the day side of Earth.
Photo works a little better on this. I got you. Hold on. Yeah, that's from when they were going to the moon, correct?
Yep, 1972. Eugene Kerman took that with a physical camera with an 80mm film that then had to be developed in solution in a Lightroom. No CGI involved in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Well, they definitely took a photo of something. I watched the footage.
Yeah, they
Wow.
did take a photo. That was the
Oh,
photo.
there's a huge flaw that I found. I just gotta find this image I put together. I actually saw this on YouTube, and then I did the same thing myself to double check it. Oh God, yeah, no. Cool. All right,
If you got an image or something, you can send it to me and I can display it.
so this works. Blue marble.
Okay, I'll put you on full screen 1 sec. There we go. Yeah.
So it doesn't. Oh, why does it gotta reflect like that? Hey,
Yeah. Okay.
blue marble.
Yeah.
You get it. Yeah. These are continents that were lit up at that time
At
of
the.
that photo being taken, the exact time of that photo actually being taken.
Uh-huh.
You see South America, Africa. Where is this? There you go.
Yeah.
Part of Australia.
And that
And
matches
so
with the photo that was there. I mean, you're not
the
going to be
issue
able
is,
to see the entire side because it's a sphere, obviously.
well, I took off. Maybe I'll have to send this to you. Yeah, it's not displaying it right. That sucks. Let's see if I can.
Yeah, it's going to reflect off your monitor,
A
obviously.
moment of fucking. Oh, excuse my language.
That's right. They're used to it on this channel.
Oh man, it really won't show it.
So you can email it to me and I'll get it.
Yeah, let's do that real quick. This is useless.
Okay. Hey, Cypher, I'm going to mod you. You should be modded. 1 sec. Get you modded.
Sending email sent successfully.
Okay. Right. Let me put that in the
Okay.
program.
Now I have too many proofs to go over in one night. If that helps at all where I'm coming from.
Come on. There we go.
Simple facts like South America appears to be actually be a horse fossil. Africa appears to be a gorilla fossil.
All right, let's just
to
focus on this right now. So what's your issue with this?
Just to give people an idea where I'm going with all this.
Right.
Just to kind of show everyone what is actually being hidden from everyone.
I mean, that matches up with what's behind it. I don't understand the issue.
Well, my issue, see how South America is not displayed on what's lit on the globe. Neither is it part of Australia. I think.
Okay,
is Europe? No, I don't even see Europe.
So,
what's
if you
on
were
the globe
further,
doesn't actually
right,
display.
right, here's the thing. If you were further away from the globe, you'd be able to see more of the area. But at the distance they were, that was the amount that they could capture. You can't see around the sides of the globe on a 2D image. That actually matches up with what's being shown there. The Terminator line is obviously going to be around behind that globe that we can't see. But as it can quite clearly show, Africa, smack bang in the middle, is in the middle of the day. If you were to wrap that image around the globe, it would match exactly. So I
You're
don't
saying
really
too
see the issue.
close?
I mean, you can
It's
just
too close
see,
to see South America.
if you were further away, you'd be able to see more of it. That's the thing. But from the distance that they were, that was the vantage that they had. I could take right now two pictures of a globe, right? Wait, one sec. I could take.
This is closer to me one. This was
They were on the way to the moon. They weren't at the moon. But I could take images of a globe right now. The same globe from up close and far away, and they would show different amounts of what you can see. I mean, you can actually see it on the bottom right there. You can just see Australia peeking in, and around the side, South Africa would be on where that bit is daylight, but that matches up with what you would expect to see there. I genuinely don't see the issue.
My issue is there's no image that matches up.
So because they didn't take one at a different vantage point, that's a problem.
That was the furthest one within the reel. I mean, since I can see half the moon, I would expect to see half the Earth. Maybe a little less since it's a larger object.
Again, it depends on the distance. It depends on the distance that you are from it. What I can guarantee is if they were further away from the globe when they took the photo, then you would have had more of the daylight side visible. But the closer you are to something, the less of it that you can see, if it's a spherical object. I mean, if I can...
I understand that, absolutely. But what I'm saying is, so as this got further away, I still can't see South America being lit.
But they didn't
on the bright side of the sphere.
They didn't take pictures further away. Well, this picture was, I think they're about a quarter of the way to the moon.
Well, that one's cropped from one of the ones when they're further away. Well, from one of the images from when they're further away. I don't know exactly.
Well, the blue marble, the images, they only took one set of those photos whilst they were on the craft on the way to the moon. They didn't take like a whole bunch of them at different distances. Like, let me put myself up here. And, like, let me show you what I mean. So, right, imagine.
I feel kind of stalemated.
One sec. I'll turn off the green screen 1 second, so that you can actually see my point here. Right. So, so that's what they could see, right? Like Africa, okay. But as you go further away, you can see that on the sides, you're starting to be able to see more of what it was. So I'm trying to get it to match the image where it was. So they were, the image is there, and you can just see Australia around the side here. But if you're closer, you actually get less of the, what you see around the side. As you get further away, you can see more of it.
Then make South America appear at that exact same angle, because it's not appearing when you're doing that.
Well, they wouldn't be able to see the whole of it. So let's say the sun is going down on it, right? You still can't see exactly 50% of the globe. Let me get my fingers on South America. So here's South America, right? So like I think that's approximately the image of that they saw. But again, as you get further away, if they were really far away, you'd be able to see more and more of the side. But you would never be able to see, all of what was lit. It's just the geometry of a sphere.
Well, that was the only flaw I saw in that. Besides that, that's about the only image I ever saw that looks real. The rest
that
are
looks real.
mostly admitted to be fake. The
No.
satellite imagery
Well,
looks real.
let's stop you there. None are admitted to be fake. Some photos are put together in certain ways because they have to be, i.e., if you are taking close-up images.
Based off triangulation. I
Yeah,
don't know what's the rest of trilateration.
but I mean, I could show you
Oh,
real-time images of the Earth right now from the Himawari or from Discover.
see, well, then I could log on Himawari and show you why that's actually just CG. If you're running a program, at any point it can highlight continents
Yeah,
or
right. But
yeah,
you can also turn all of those off. The point is,
so
right,
what
the
to
thing is
tell
with
you, what to
Himawari,
tell you that the image of the Earth is real?
right?
If
Well,
you
it's
just turn off and on features, let's just turn on and off the globe. See what
uh,
I'm? You
okay,
see what
but
I'm saying?
right, that doesn't
It's
mean
it's
that it's fake, right?
also
The thing about Himawari is that it's been verified in real
yeah, but
time.
it does fall in line with what I'm saying.
Not really. Just because something can be CGI doesn't mean that it is. Himawari.
Well, I'm
There's
also
many
saying that
ways to
the
prove that
masses are being
Himawari is
fooled, and
real.
this is their best attempt.
Say again.
I'm also saying the masses are being fooled, and this is their best attempt.
But what evidence do you have that Himawari is fake? Because I can give you evidence that it's real.
Because they use a program that you can add and that
That's
subtract
not.
anything
That's
from
not.
that you want. Like it's that to me, that's not real.
There's an overlay on top
There
of
is
it.
a lifetime feed where I could zoom in and see stuff, maybe see myself waving, which I definitely expect in 2019.
Sorry, that
Proven.
technology just
Shut
doesn't
up.
exist.
Shut up.
It's as simple as that. Now, right, I'm going to do something with
It's
you.
always impossible.
I'm,
Anything that would actually give legit proof is impossible. I've come to find
right,
that out.
so let's look at Himawari right now, okay? And you can see the cloud patterns and everything. Now, if we go to, let's say, if I get a West Australia traffic cam. Right. So if I get a traffic cam of somewhere in Australia on the west side of it right now, you'll be able to see that there is no clouds. Just get me. Bear with me 1 second. I'll just get that up.
Uh,
There we go. Sorry, my computer's running pretty slow. Right. Okay. Anyway, right. There's actually a YouTube channel that's done this much better than me. There's a guy called Where's Wally, right, who has done these in real time, and
yeah, no, I don't doubt that's real time imagery.
okay, all right. Well, so you get my point.
Yeah,
Now,
I think 8 minutes away. I just believe they're projecting it onto a spherical model.
okay. Well, the problem with that is that all maps are projections of a sphere, and all the distances line up with what we'd expect on a sphere. That there isn't any flat Earth map that is accurate. For instance, if you take the classic AE map that flat earthers use, let me get that up.
But there's no proof of going over this curve. It works on any model. It works with any model.
No, it doesn't. The problem is there is no accurate flat Earth map.
All right, so let's say you base it off the flat Earth, and let's use a globe projection to travel the flat Earth. Like it can work both ways. It's not a.
But the thing is, it doesn't work both ways. Any projection map isn't accurate. Like, let me get the AE map up. and I'll tell you.
Yeah, no, I don't think any maps are accurate.
Well, maps are
What's the point?
maps are
We're the
accurate
masters.
because we navigate by them.
We're the masters. We are not given an accurate map.
I mean, I've traveled the world in the military, and I know for a fact that maps are accurate when you base them on a globe. So
There's no sense of going over. Yeah.
If we look at the AE map, right?
Yeah.
So this is the typical flat.
Going around in a circle.
This is the typical AE map, right? And the main problem with that is Australia, because look at Australia there, all right?
Yeah, it's completely skewed.
Yeah.
Design.
But we know that that's actually what Australia looks like, and this is it in real time right now. These images are every 10 minutes from the Himawari satellite.
How do you know that's what Australia looks like? I've seen 1,000 globe images of Australia, and they're all different, every single one. That's why I don't think.
I don't think so.
None of them match each other.
Let me have a look at my globe here. Oh no, that looks exactly like
Maybe
that one.
according to this program, that looks. Oh, actually, not even. Well, that's what I was just saying. Like here's 2 different days.
Oh, goodness me. Come on. You realize that different cameras take different images, right?
Yeah.
So, of course, when you take different images with different cameras on different days.
These are all from that satellite. It's satellite, different days.
Yeah.
It's just like different shading.
And that's down to weather,
It's
for
environment.
instance.
Yeah.
Right.
I understand all the conditions that would be a factor to actually even get an image or resolution, take an image of Earth.
So
I do understand that.
Do you say there's no evidence of going over a curve? Because I mean, I can blow that out of the water really
Absolutely.
easily with one
To
video.
the bottom of the boat. Just watch any 4-hour time lapse of the horizon. You can literally watch everything moving. Everything moves due to the density of the atmosphere.
Except
nothing about it.
When you have days that are lovely and clear with minimal refraction, like the day that Dazza the cameraman, a good friend of mine, took this video, showing conclusively that there is...
Atmosphere is always present.
Right, so let me just get this video up and I'll show you what I mean. Because the evidence for the fact that there is a curve is pretty overwhelming. So, let me get that. Come on, up you go.
I've seen a curve chart and light refraction.
Now, this is a video by Dazza the cameraman who lives in Australia. I'm pretty sure this is near Perth. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, in the stream. So he's zooming in on these 2 boats in the distance. Okay. Now the one in the middle is. I'm going to turn up the speed so it goes on a bit. Playback speed 2. The one in the middle is pretty much on the horizon. The one on the right is just over the horizon, okay? And as he zooms in on them, you can see that... Come on, Dazza, get on with it.
I believe that's inferior.
No.
Effect.
Here's the thing. There's no such thing. Okay, so...
Intensity of the atmosphere. Sometimes it cuts off the bottom, sometimes it cuts off the top.
No, here's the thing. Here's the thing. You would be expecting if this was due to atmospheric conditions of some kind, you would expect warping on the rest of it. Whereas you can see the pillars and the bridge of the ship on the left, which is clearly behind the curve, aren't distorted in any way. Which indicates that there isn't any refraction going on here. Sorry?
You're using a photograph. You could claim that if you showed me a live
this is a video. This is a live video. It's not a photograph. This is a live video.
All right. Now watch it for a sec as everything's distorting and waving around.
But it's not. That's the thing. That's why he chose this particular day.
Hold on. This is definitely paused right here. Hold on.
Yeah, he paused it to
point out that moving.
Nothing's moving.
This is a bad example of what I'm saying. I mean, I have 100 references where I can show you everything's completely distorted. And not only that...
Hey, here's the thing. No one's denying...
Bring them back in the picture. Have you not seen any of the videos?
Did you just say you could...
They're literally using P900s, P1000s to
All right, stop. I'm starting to think Poe here already, to be honest, because these are very basic flat Earth arguments. Let me just go back to that and show
Get
you.
complex.
You literally cannot bring things back with a camera, and that's what this particular video was showing.
I've seen, I mean, that's what made me question the glow. That was the basis in the very beginning of anything that ever made me question it. Was the fact that I saw a bunch of people going around going, all right, watch, it has disappeared, it has sunk over the horizon. And they'll wait about 20 minutes and pull it back into view. Like, now, that is...
Here's the thing, right? If something is small enough that its visual resolution, you can't see it, by zooming in, that would increase the visual resolution. But what Dazza does here, right, as he zoomed out at this point, right, he takes a screenshot, okay?
I've seen videos where you can zoom in at this point.
Right,
and these ships, you still want to be able to keep zooming, and eventually it pops up in the view.
No, because that's the thing. I'm literally showing you evidence that doesn't happen, okay? He takes a screenshot at this point when it's zoomed out, and there, okay? And then he zooms in.
You're claiming everything is where you see it.
Just stop and listen for 1 second, okay? Right, just stop and listen for 1 sec, okay? So he takes the image, takes a screenshot as it's zoomed out, and then zooms in and shows the same thing. So the one on the bottom is when it's zoomed out, and up top is when it's zoomed in. It has not brought anything back by zooming in, because cameras aren't magic and don't bring things back over a curve. All cameras do when you zoom in is increase the resolution.
As though the ship just fell off a waterfall.
What?
Like it looks like the ship fell off. Well, how much further is that ship from the one where you can see basically the entire hull?
It's a couple of miles, I think.
Because the other question is like 100 yards away.
No,
they 100%.
He actually does say in the description of the video.
Like, I believe that right there is inferior, and sometimes you have superior mirage effects where you can even be displayed reverse up.
Yeah, but that's why on this particular day they decided to do it, because the refraction was absolutely minimal. And this video not only demonstrates that there is quite clearly a curve, but zooming in on things does not bring it back into view. Okay, so what else have you got? You said you got evidence. I mean, not understanding things isn't evidence.
How is that clearly not evidence?
I've just showed you that there's things behind the curve and that you can't zoom in and bring them back.
You didn't bring up anything else. You bring up perspective, dense weather.
Okay, so what's
how the fluid air actually
changes
what we're looking at visually?
Okay, but
especially
again,
in miles and just water and moisture in the atmosphere.
Here's the thing: as that video showed, the refraction was minimal. That's why he chose that particular day. And he's done that because he lives there and he's got really good cameras. That was actually done with the P1000. So, it showed that there isn't anything happening.
You think we see objects where they appear? That's what you're...
you never really see objects where they appear. Every time you look, you're looking...
to perspective.
No. Wait, listen to the answer. If you ask a question, you need to listen to the answer, okay? When you look at something, you are technically looking back in time. Even looking at your monitor right now, you're looking back in time a little bit because the light takes time to reach your eyes. But when you're talking about perspective and things like that, I really don't think you understand what you mean, because there is actually a law of perspective that allows you to calculate what you should be seeing. Alpha equals 2 times the arctan of 2 over GR, I think it is. When using that, you can actually calculate how big things are supposed to be based on how far away they are. We also are able to calculate for refraction. Sorry?
Yeah, so that way you can calculate the size of a building through atmospheric magnification.
Yeah, but atmospheric magnification, any kind of atmospheric conditions can actually be calculated. No, oh my goodness. That video showed no kind of distortion, no refraction, no mirroring, no miraging, anything.
You can see it wiggling between all the moisture evaporating from the ocean. I can see it in every single one. You can actually see it within half a mile out.
Except
You
in
can
the
already
video I
see everything.
literally just showed you, of course.
Next time you're on the road and you see that little
Yeah,
black
yeah.
hazy
The road
mirage,
isn't
I think you
water.
see that. You'll notice you can see it 2 feet in front of your face too.
Yeah.
Like
So
it
here's the
like
thing about that.
a little
Roads give
mile
off
out, and you're
a
trying to
lot.
say, hey, this doesn't happen,
Okay,
then when
stop,
it
stop.
clearly can.
Right, roads give off heat, whereas water tends to have a cold, dense layer of air above it. So you can't really compare the two.
But yeah, you can, because that would be the difference between an inferior and superior mirage.
Yeah, that's why you can't compare the two.
And what I'm saying is that is a part inferior mirage. On an
Except
even more clear day,
it
you
clearly
would see all
wasn't.
those ships. Not it,
It clearly wasn't because there was no warping or anything, which you would expect with some kind of inferior or superior mirage. In that video I showed you, there was no warping of
in
the
every
ship.
other video, at that distance, the images are warping due to the atmosphere. I don't care what video you bring up, but in yours, it's not. Like that's not correct.
Oh, so Daza was lying when he took those. Are you saying they're fake
No, I'm saying
videos?
distortion.
Sorry?
I'm saying there's distortion. This is why in
But
the beginning I
but
said
there wasn't
use
distortion.
at least like a 4-hour time lapse. You can watch. You can literally watch sky rises disappear and come back and disappear and come back throughout an entire day or throughout the 4 hours. You could do this constantly. That was a 10-second clip, slow down to show.
Actually, I sped that
You know,
up.
the illusion. That's the illusion, though. How is
But
that not the illusion?
Right. So when you have those mirages,
My proof is based off a 4-hour clip. Your proof
dude,
is
stop.
based off
When you ask a question, you then need to stop talking to listen to the answer. Okay. All right.
Oh, there's rules.
Well, yeah, that's how conversations work. When one person talks, the other person listens. All right. The thing is, well, I'm a little fed up with flat earthers at the moment. So you're going to need to just pay attention. If you ask a question, you then need to be quiet so you can listen to the response. So when you have atmospheric conditions making things change, there is distortions, which is why Daza filmed that video on a day when there was minimal distortions. And the thing is, no matter what day he goes on, he can always see the same thing because he's always on a big shipping route. Okay, so he can always see ships like that. But in that particular video, he did it because there was no distortion happening at the time. So if there's no distortion happening, which was clear by what I showed you, you couldn't see any warping above the water and by the ship. It's clear to show that that is actually a pretty accurate description of what you were seeing. What?
Exactly, because it wasn't a video of what I'm describing. What I'm describing is I mean, I watched ships sail out, watch them disappear over the horizon, and then waited literally 20 minutes and brought them back into view even further out, and they were faded behind the atmosphere. It's hard to see them.
Here's what you've done.
Because the atmosphere, you hit an atmospheric wall.
Here's the thing. What you've seen is a ship that is too small for your eyes to resolve. So then when you zoom in, you can then see it again. It hasn't gone behind the curve. Because if you film a ship actually going over the curve, like if you film it as it's going over the curve, no amount of zooming in will then bring it back. And that's why Daza chooses these. No. What you've seen is small ships. Are you even listening to what I'm saying?
Are you saying every single person faked those videos?
No, I'm saying that when you have a small ship, like in all of those videos, there's none of those ships with big videos. With big ship. There's none of those videos with big ships. They're all small ships. And when you have a small ship, its angular resolution becomes too small for you to be able to see. So when you zoom in, as a camera increases the angular resolution, you can then see it again. But what you need to do is actually film that ship going over the curve and then try and zoom to bring it back. And you can't do that. as Dazza showed in that clip
You're
there.
on YouTube right now. It can be one of the first videos that pop up.
I mean, you're not listening to a word I'm saying, are you?
No, I've done it. That's what I'm saying. Is I've already done this.
Have you filmed? Right? Have you? Right,
gone through
have you filmed it?
says you can.
Oh my goodness, you're really not listening. Have you filmed the ship physically going over the horizon and then zoomed in and brought it back? Have you watched it all of the way?
Yes, I know about 100 different videos that you can go click on YouTube right now.
No, right, all of my goodness.
Same thing.
No, you really aren't listening. Right, listen. All of those videos are of ships that have angular resolution because the ship is so small, it can't be seen. And then when you zoom in, it can be seen again. None of those videos show it going over a curve, like physically zooming in on it and watching it go over the curve and then zooming in to bring it back, because that doesn't happen. There isn't one video that shows that. Do you have a video that shows that? Because I've never seen one.
I believe that they do. Maybe you're correct. I believe that they do. I've seen time lapse. The one I can recall the most is one that is a 9-hour time lapse. It is a couple different ships. Some large. I mean, some are definitely cargo ships. Some are fishing vessels. And yeah, watch all of them go out.
Have you got any particular evidence for that?
17 miles.
Who?
It's like the first you see the ship or something before like it fades off of the atmosphere.
Okay, well, I mean, I've literally just shown you a video that shows that doesn't happen.
I can come back on a round 2.
Well, you were desperate to come on today, so I assumed you had evidence.
No, that was the anxiety in me.
Right. I'm just going to read a couple of super chats. Bear with me 1 second. John Rapp, $5. Hello, FTFE, long time no see. Sorry, but JM Truth for dumb fuck of the year. The thesis fallacy notwithstanding. Liley's just a loser. Now have it the Flerf. $5 from John Rapp. No clouds over Sydney Central City at this exact moment. I'm standing right here. I most definitely exist. $2 New Zealand from Citizen Gold. Hang up on him. Not yet. $199 from Dash. Andrew's a drug addict. Why debate him? And $5 Canadian from Jay Savo. For the record, the furthest photo is 443 kilometers, 273 miles. At 8 inches per mile squared, it's absolutely impossible for this Earth to be a ball. That photo you are talking about, we actually discussed in length when Geerstreiber debated JM Truth, and we did the math and showed that it is possible. Also, 8 inches per square mile isn't the formula. It's H equals R times 1 minus cos A, and that actually gives you the correct one. And $5 from Eric Powell. If you can pull back a ship by zooming it in, why can't you pull back the sun when it disappears behind the curve? Good point. Why has no one ever zoomed back in on the sun? What? You've just disproved the flat Earth, because for no reason increasing in altitude.
Everything disappears beyond the horizon. It's blocking the view. That's what I'm saying.
Yes. Right. Here's the thing. Right, Andrew.
Blocking the view.
You keep saying the horizon is blocking the view.
Or blocks the view of the sun.
Andrew, you keep saying the horizon is blocking the view. That's a problem, because there shouldn't be a horizon on the flat Earth.
It's caused by the atmosphere. It's where the atmosphere and when you put on the oceans, where the atmosphere and water appear to meet.
No.
But
then you also said that if you increase in elevation, you can see it again. Also, something that would never happen on the flat Earth. I mean, I can show you one photo.
Why not?
Because if the Earth was flat, increasing in horizon, increasing in altitude wouldn't mean you can see more. Also, if the Earth was flat, the horizon would always be at eye level, correct?
Well, it depends on how far you can see. If you rise in altitude, it could lower because the sun's only lighting up so much land. So you can only see so far anyway. Everything that's black that you can't see is the unlit land.
No, if the Earth was if the Earth was flat, the horizon would always be at eye level. If the Earth was flat, the horizon would always be at eye level, like all of the time, no matter how high you went.
It rises to eye level. It doesn't just drop down and go way down. Like even when you rise in altitude,
it does.
It doesn't show anything.
That shows the
this proves
horizon.
my point here. You have a row of mountains, and then see the second row. You see how much. This is just the next row of mountains. Look how much atmosphere is blocking the view.
You should see the
all the other
horizon.
mountains may be blocking these.
Right.
So not only do you have an atmosphere
Andrew, right. Yeah. You're not allowed to use the word perspective unless you can tell me the law of perspective, okay? Because there is only one perspective. So unless you can actually tell me what the law of perspective is, you're really not allowed to use it. And also, here you go, the horizon not being at eye level. And here's a good one. This was taken by a friend of mine. The moon.
This is my point. You can't see.
Andrew, I'm talking.
Is being blocked.
All right, Andrew. Here is the moon. Andrew, stop, Andrew. This is every flat earther. All right.
My point.
So in this picture, the moon is below the eye level. All right, below the eye level. The moon is actually below the eye level, and this was taken by a friend of mine.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely.
And that's impossible on a flat Earth. Literally impossible on a flat Earth.
How? The atmospheric dome controls where you see any celestial objects.
Can I please have the math to back that up? Because you're just saying words right now without any evidence.
You can use any celestial chart, and all the way, but like really, this all came from everything everything we know about the stars came from people who depicted the Earth as flat, Mayans, and so on. All right, they knew more. They had more information than we have available about how everything worked. No?
Okay. No. The ancient cultures. The ancient. Andrew.
My calendar.
Andrew, you need to stop. Andrew, when you say something, you need to stop talking so I can respond. The ancient Mayans and all ancient cultures knew nothing compared to what we know now. It doesn't matter what the ancient cultures thought, because right now...
the ancient cultures apparently lived in sky cities, and...
Citation fucking needed. Citation fucking needed.
What do you mean for what? Sky cities?
For evidence of a sky city. There's no such thing.
Google Earth, I'll show you some. They're everywhere. It's most civilizations that we uncover were part of a sky city.
No. My God. Evidence, please? Any of them?
Any historical document.
No historical documents say that there's sky cities. Not one.
Book of Jubilee or Jubilees, Book of Enoch, all of them, all accounts.
Books about imaginary friends don't have any place in this conversation.
No, I can show you them. They're all frozen. They're fossilized under salt water.
Then they weren't in the
sky.
Over
3,000 images of these creatures. They're everywhere.
Are you getting confused with Jack and the Beanstalk?
No.
Sounds like you are.
That is mythology.
Have
you ever mud fossils? You ever heard of mud fossils?
Yes, goodness me. You're into every conspiracy, huh?
That's what I'm referencing.
Mud floods aren't a thing. I've already debunked that in one of my videos. Christ Puncher for $5 says, "Can he explain?"
Okay, our
wait.
History.
Andrew, wait. I'm talking right now. Andrew, I'm talking. Right. This is the issue I have with flat earthers. They don't know how to have a conversation. Right. Christ Puncher for $5 Canadian. Will you stop talking when I'm talking?
No.
I'll just start muting you. Right, $5 Canadian from Christ Puncher says, "Can he explain how we have two celestial poles on a?" All right, I'm going to mute you when I ask the question. $5 Canadian from Christ Puncher says, "Can you explain why we have two celestial poles?" I'm going to unmute you now.
Yeah, don't mute me. The fuck?
Well, act like an adult then. Yeah, Google the word pareidolia.
I'm an adult with child inside, bro. Sorry. Now,
I can clearly see that. Yeah, you're showing a picture of pareidolia. Thank you. Well done. So I had a question for you.
that's not an elephant.
Can you? Yeah,
This is an elephant.
more pareidolia. Wonderful. I asked you a question. Well, actually, one of the audience did. Can you explain why there's two celestial poles?
Yes, the atmospheric dome. Do you understand corpuscular and anti-corpuscular rays?
Yep. Anti-corpuscular rays are impossible on a flat Earth. That doesn't answer why there are two counter-rotating celestial poles.
What do you mean it's impossible? Where do you fuck do you think the terminology came from? Are you kidding me?
Not flat Earth.
Okay, so corpuscular and anti-corpuscular rays don't exist.
No, I didn't say they don't exist. I said they're impossible on a flat Earth.
How is it impossible? It's due to perspective.
You don't know what perspective is. You're not allowed to use that
We
word.
have eyes. What?
You don't know what perspective is.
I just used it correctly.
No, you didn't. What's the law of perspective, please?
The law of perspective.
Yeah.
I don't know. Would you like me to look it up? Would you like me to say it word for word?
I've told you it twice already.
You have? Oh.
Yeah. Alpha equals 2 times the arctan of 1 over dr. So, yeah. So there is actually a law of perspective. So again, how do we have two counter-rotating celestial poles? If you're in the southern hemisphere, you can see stars rotating around the Southern Cross. If you are in the northern hemisphere, you can see them rotating around Polaris. They go in opposite directions.
Corpuscular and anti-corpuscular rays and the location of the observer.
Stars are nothing to do with anti-corpuscular rays.
Yes, well, yeah, because of perspective is how we're viewing it. It's the location of where we're viewing them from. So if we're looking over here and we can see everything circling around the North Pole, you travel this way, you have corpuscular rays coming at you, expanding outward, and as you peer towards the South Pole, they become anti-corpuscular and clouded.
That's
and
not
that
what...
South Star is Sigma Altanis.
That's
what we're seeing.
That's
no matter where you go.
That's not corpuscular rays. That isn't corpuscular and... Okay, let me show you anti-corpuscular rays, because I don't think you know what they are.
Oh, yeah, okay. I have a video of them. I have a video of them when I'm there. And all that good stuff.
Rays. My goodness. All right, I'll get a good picture of them. I want to do. Say.
I can beat you to it.
Well, yeah, that's not corpuscular rays.
Over here would be the North Pole. You're viewing the North Pole over here. You can just see how it works. I mean,
right, dude.
You understand corpuscular rays? You understand what I'm saying, right?
This is anti-corpuscular rays. Nothing to do with the stars.
Okay, maybe I have it backwards. So when you peer the other way, you will see corpuscular rays. I was thinking that would be corpuscular rays, and the anti-corpuscular rays is the other way around. Do
you see the other thing here, that the underside of the clouds seem to be lit up? Another thing impossible on the flat Earth.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yes, I believe that's refraction, which we all know is present.
You don't
That's
know
why you get that orangish tinge, and you don't get that direct. They don't turn white again on the bottom.
Refraction lights up the underside of clouds. Did you actually just say that? Okay.
Well, because I mean, when viewing the sun, we're guessing it's about, when you're looking, say, to the left, you could probably see it at about 6,000 miles away at sunset. And so that'd be what, 12,000 mile circumference.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, 6,000 miles.
Here we go. Save image as.
Don't want to go too far with that.
Right. Refraction cannot explain this. The only way that this can happen, right? Listen to me for 1 sec. Don't interrupt. All right. Just listen for 1 second. Don't interrupt. Okay?
Yeah.
The only way that this can happen is if the sun is below the mountain, because it is casting a shadow upwards onto the clouds. So for this to happen on a flat Earth, the sun has to be A, below the clouds, and B, below the mountain.
You do those videos of the person up above the clouds on the mountain right now, and the shadow's going downward, right? It's going upward due to perspective. You can see how it's expanding out as well as it comes towards you, and that is a crepuscular ray.
That isn't a crepuscular ray. You don't know what crepuscular rays are. You really don't know what crepuscular. Right. So
I'm pretty sure anti-crepuscular is the rays that are narrowing as they go away from you, and that right there is a crepuscular ray.
No, that's not. That's a shadow. That is a shadow, not a crepuscular ray.
No, but it's exposing the sun's rays on the side of the shadow. Like
Right. You're not listening to what I'm saying. It is casting a shadow upwards on the underside of clouds. It quite clearly is.
Due to perspective, it appears that way.
No. Wait.
Upwards.
Perspective can.
So all these clouds are going upwards?
I'm saying that the shadow is going upwards because the mountain is below. Right, the mountain is below the clouds, meaning that the shadow is being cast upwards. There's nothing to do with perspective.
The shadow is being cast upwards.
Yeah, meaning that. No, you don't know what perspective is.
I've actually spoken to this person.
No, you haven't.
Through Facebook, and yeah, no, I have. This is forever ago. I don't remember his name. He was what? I'm pretty sure. His photo. I don't fucking lie. Fuck you. And yeah, I mean, he has photos of it above and below and everything. The whole perspective. He has a photo of in the clouds as well.
Perspective cannot make a shadow appear on the top of.
Try and disprove it, but you're not showing all the multiple angles. Everyone, like, you're not.
There is no other angle that will show this shadow being cast downwards because the mountain is below the clouds.
So you're telling me if I go above this image right now, it'll still be casting upwards?
If you were above the image, you would be in the clouds.
Yeah, but you could still see the shadow.
And you'd see it on the bottom of the clouds. Meaning that it's being cast from the mountain. The only way that the mountain can cast a shadow on the clouds is if the light source is below it.
No, due to perspective.
No, you don't know what perspective is. We've gone through that. You're not allowed to use the word perspective. So just a couple more super chats. For 10 New Zealand dollars, you have more patience than I do. It's wearing thin, trust me. 199 from Dash Dash. He watched too much Jetsons. 499 from Proper Lols. Hate to play dad, but I hope he isn't drinking or getting stoned before he has to drive. Too many people lost from irresponsible impaired drivers. 200 rupees from Game Nerd. FTFE, can you ask him what he's smoking? Because you need some after this debate. 2 Australian dollars from John Rapp. Andrew, you're a joke. How you appear and act. And $5 Australian from Christopher Hogan. Have they even built a container made out of ice and glass to see if it even holds pressure? Hope you're doing okay after the stream. All right, thank you. Yeah, so no, this is impossible on a flat Earth. It's simple as that.
Is that your fan base? A bunch of insults?
It's pretty much needed at this point. So let's go with some other. So here's the thing: if the Earth is flat, why does it rotate in 3 axes?
You're talking about the wobble.
No, I'm on about the Earth rotating in 3 axes. Why does it do that if it's flat and stationary?
Why does it do that in any way, shape, or form?
Well,
explain that, please.
Every interferometric fiber optic gyroscope in the world measures a 15-degree drift in 3 axes.
We do the same star every night throughout the year. The year has to rotate on 3 different axes. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, all those stars are going around the Earth with us. All those stars are going around the center of the galaxy with us. All the stars we see in the night.
It makes sense if they were, but they're not.
Wait, listen.
We're supposedly rotating around.
All right, Andrew, stop. All the stars that you see in the night with your naked eye are a tiny, tiny portion of the galaxy that are rotating around the center of the galaxy with us. There is no reason the stars would change massively. However, they do change. For instance, we used to have a different North Star, and in a few thousand years, we will again have a different North Star. Almanacs, ancient sailing almanacs made by sailors from hundreds of years ago, had to be constantly updated as the positions of the stars shifted so that they could actually navigate correctly. And we do have a rotation in 3 axes. This has been proven conclusively by flat earthers. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the clip of Bob, right?
I believe that's the wobble I'm referencing. But
no, you're not.
Right.
Let me show you this video because you obviously haven't seen it. Pay attention for 45 seconds.
If the Earth is spinning at 1 rotation every 24 hours, that means that every hour it has to turn 15 degrees. And if the gyroscope is mounted anywhere on Earth, it's going to drift. In today's 21st century navigation systems, they're using what's called a ring laser gyroscope.
It means fiber optic.
Extremely precise. If we could simply get one of these ring laser gyroscopes, we would be able to prove once and for all that there is no rotation to the Earth. One of the people in the community actually purchased one for $20,000. But what we found is when we turned on that gyroscope, we found that we were picking up a drift, a 15-degree-per-hour drift.
Cheers, Bob. And that's a flat earther that did that. So
what? What do you mean? What is it like?
All right. Let me explain. I'm gonna have to walk you through this with baby steps, aren't I? Let me explain to you the Sagnac effect. Right. Get this video in. Give me 1 second. Basic physics lesson for you here. I hope you appreciate it. I should start charging for teaching you guys.
Physics. I don't understand. I understand why you gave me a basic physics lesson.
Because you don't understand physics is why. Right. So, this is the Sagnac effect, okay? I'll go back a bit. Right, so what's happening inside a fiber optic gyroscope is a laser light. Andrew, you need to listen for a minute, okay? A laser light is fired out of the blue box. The diagonal line is a half-coated silver mirror, which splits the light into 2 paths, the blue dot and the red dot. Now, if the Earth is stationary, Andrew, you need to listen. If the Earth is stationary, right, what will happen is the 2 paths will take the same amount of time, because the speed of light, c, is a constant, to go around, and they will recombine, and you will get this, no interference pattern. But if the Earth is rotating, as demonstrated here, what literally happens is one of the paths becomes longer because it is moving, meaning that the light, when it recombines, will have a interference pattern. And this is what Bob was talking about with the drift. The Sagnac effect inside an interferometric fiber optic gyro shows that there is a 15-degree-per-hour drift. And it's not just in one direction, it's in 3 axes, which indicates the rotation of a sphere. Do you understand?
15 experiments of people trying to
say that again?
show how the ether.
There's no such thing as ether. Marcus and Morley, Marcus and Morley proved conclusively there is no ether, so we don't need to talk about the ether.
Yeah, that was good. That's what. How is this not the same experiment explained in a different manner?
Because the Marcus and Morley experiment was to do with detecting a drift of the ether. The Marcus and Morley experiment was nothing to do with the rotation of the Earth. Marcus and Morley knew that the Earth was a sphere and rotated around the Sun. The premise of the Marcus and Morley experiment was that if the ether existed, then as the Earth rotates around the Sun, it would create a wind in the ether, the same way as if you stick your hand out of a car when you're moving, you can feel the wind, right? So if the ether existed, as the Earth moved through this medium, it would create an ether wind. So the Marcus and Morley experiment was set up to detect a shift in the light based on the position of it being parallel to the equator or away from the equator or 45 degrees. Now, based on the position of it, it should have picked up a different like fringe drift of the aether wind. What they found was that there was no like change in what they expected. So that was a null result and proved that the aether didn't exist because light actually doesn't need a medium to propagate. It's just a self-propagating wave.
How does that not prove that there's also no rotation of Earth?
Because they weren't trying to detect the rotation of the Earth. The experiment was set up, and what you don't understand is they weren't testing it over like 15 degrees per hour or anything like that. They were trying to see if, based on the position, because the interferometric the interferometer they used was like straight forward and back, right? So whereas a ring laser gyroscope or a fiber optic gyroscope is like a path. Now, with the Michelson Morley, the light going backwards and forwards would have been affected by the drift of the aether wind, if the aether wind existed, but they didn't detect any. Whereas when you're talking about the Sagnac effect inside the fiber optic gyro, you are literally trying to see if it is rotating. But that wasn't what they were trying to find in the Michelson Morley experiment. It was very different to modern day interferometric fiber optic gyroscopes. Now, if you look at the LIGO, which is basically a massive Michelson Morley experiment, that again doesn't show that there's aether and in fact can detect minute changes in gravity. So yeah,
minute changes in acceleration.
In what?
Acceleration. The accelerated force.
Yes, exactly. And that's another thing. If the Earth's flat, then gravity doesn't exist, because if gravity existed on the flat Earth, then as you got towards the outside, it would be like going uphill.
Well, for flat Earth, you're in a container, so wherever down is just happens to be down. That's the consequence of the actions. How do I put it? That's the consequence of this matrix. Is there is a down. That's a lovely
word salad. It doesn't mean anything. Gravity is conclusively proven to be a thing.
Do you know how objects work within a container, fluids?
Yes, very much so.
Okay, this is the exact same thing.
No, it's not. Because
how is it not? Everything around it says it is.
No, because the Earth, if we were in a container, then the gas pressure law says, Andrew, stop interrupting when I'm talking. If we are in a container, then the gas pressure law says that you will have a uniform density of gas. What do we have on Earth in our atmosphere? We have a gradient of pressure. The higher you go, the less dense the pressure is. If we were in a container, that gradient wouldn't exist. There would be an equal density of the fluid inside it. But there isn't. There is a gradient.
So since you guys are going off such accuracy, why are all the oceans and rivers found on the equator? Why does it look more like a puddle or a pool?
What?
Lakes, oceans, all of it. When you look, I don't care what model you look at it on, they look like puddles and pools. None of it forms around the equator.
There's no reason why it should form around the equator. Gravity is equidistant at all points on the Earth, pretty much.
It doesn't matter. There's a rotation, correct? And there's a speed differential.
Are you talking about?
It would go to the fastest.
No.
It would immediately go to the equator.
No, because gravity at all points points towards the center of the Earth. So for every atom of anything that is on Earth, no matter where it is being pulled towards the center of the Earth. The fact that the equator has a linear velocity that is more is actually demonstrated by the Coriolis force, which proves rotation. Because as you've just pointed out, the rotation, well, actually, the linear velocity at the equator is a lot higher than other places. So
you're saying with the Coriolis effect that it spins one way when like aiming north, and then it spins the other way, or in an off direction.
This
In the
very
south, right?
on a very basic level, what the Coriolis force is to do with a conservation of momentum. Okay, so say you're
I know.
right. Say you're at the equator, right? And you are right, Andrew.
My grandfather
Andrew,
invented the.
Listen.
I have
Right.
family who re-engineered a bullet. You don't have to explain the Coriolis effect.
I clearly do, because you've no idea what it is. Okay, you gonna listen? Right.
The grandson of a bullet designer doesn't know what the Coriolis effect is. I clearly don't know what I'm talking. Come on.
No,
man.
you really don't. You haven't been able to explain anything.
No, you just want me to be what you want me to be.
No, I'm trying to explain something to you. Oh, hey, Q Tuttle. When are you gonna stop being a coward and respond to me about debate?
Explain the Coriolis effect to me.
Derek Baldwin
You just want to
says,
explain it to me because it's basic. You want to make me seem stupid.
well, Andrew, I'm sorry, but at this point, it's quite evident that you're stupid.
You haven't researched anything I said. What about the mud fossils? Is that still stupid?
The mud fossils, the whole mud flood thing is a fucking joke. Stop jumping around and we'll stick at one thing at a time. All right?
You.
All right? Listen when I'm talking, okay? You said you know what the Coriolis force is, so explain it for me.
The Coriolis.
Come on.
That would be well, in which way? For a spherical Earth?
Well, that's what the Coriolis force is because of. So explain to me what the Coriolis force is. You said you know what it is, so explain to me in detail what the Coriolis force is.
Based off the rotation of Earth.
That's not explaining what it is.
You have a rotational object. You have an object rotating, and depending on which direction you fire that weapon, it's going to counteract that bullet.
Why?
Because it's a force. It's a force pulling on it in different directions.
No, there's no actual
Absolutely.
force. It's an apparent force.
I think it's a gravity. That would be gravity pulling on it, and so
No, the Coriolis force has nothing to do with gravity. Andrew, Coriolis force has nothing to do with gravity. You said to me that you know what the Coriolis force is, so can you please describe it? You haven't managed to so far.
I thought I did. It's based off the rotation of Earth.
That's not explaining what the Coriolis force is.
The Coriolis force
Yeah.
isn't based off the rotation of Earth. So what causes the Coriolis effect?
The Coriolis force is caused by conservation of momentum. Yeah, you are correct that it's to do with the rotation of the Earth, but you haven't explained why the rotation of the Earth causes the Coriolis force. That's like saying the cause of your light going on and off is the light switch without explaining about electricity going into it.
Coming up with an example when you guys have no proof that it's actually the Coriolis effect causing it. Like you have no proof that the rotation of the Earth causes a bullet to change its trajectory.
We do actually.
Just know that
we have plenty of evidence of that.
There's EMR fields all over the place. Like how many different forces can you think of that are all over Earth?
So Andrew, right, stop and listen. I'm going to explain to you what the Coriolis force is because you don't have the first clue. All right? So at the equator, your linear velocity is about 1,000 miles an hour. If you were to throw something hard enough that it could travel from the equator to the North Pole, the fact that it would move from a point of rotation of linear velocity of 1,000 miles an hour down to, say, 800 miles an hour means that it would maintain that momentum of the 1,000 miles an hour and drift ahead of the rotation. The Coriolis force is all to do with conservation of momentum. It's not just about rotation. It's about maintaining the momentum that something has as it moves into a different area of linear velocity of the Earth. So if you were to go from the North Pole to the equator and you were to throw a ball hard enough to go that way, it would go behind the rotation of the Earth because it would be going into an area of more linear velocity. So the Coriolis force is a direct result of the differing linear velocities. Sorry?
Throw a ball from...
I'm explaining to you very basic what the Coriolis is, so you don't know that. Okay.
The bullet.
Well, a bullet is exactly the same. If you fire a bullet from the equator north, it's going to drift ahead of the rotation of the Earth because it maintains its linear velocity of 1,000 miles an hour as it moves into an area of the Earth that has a lower linear velocity. $5 from Has FPF. The gyro in my drone proves the rotation of the globe. It moves 15 degrees every hour, sitting perfectly still on my workbench. FTFE forever, indeed. So yeah, the Coriolis force is damn good evidence that the rotation of the Earth is a thing. And as Bob showed us with oh god, what was it? How much rotation was it?
A 15 degree per hour drift.
Cheers, Bob. Thanks very much. I don't know how much research you've done on this.
Equator? On the equator, South Pole, where's the 15 degree drift?
The 15 degree per hour drift is at any point.
At any point. So the 1,000 mile per hour rotation versus 100 near the South Pole.
That doesn't change the drift. One rotation is 300. And Andrew, listen, Andrew, let me explain to you why you just said a really stupid thing there. Because no matter where you are on the Earth, you rotate 360 degrees in 24 hours, right? Do you agree? No matter where you are on the Earth. Is that right? Are you listening?
No, I missed it.
Right.
I am now.
No matter where you are on the Earth, 15 degrees per hour. No matter where you are on the Earth, one rotation of the Earth in 24 hours is 360 degrees, right? If you're on the North Pole...
No. It would be different everywhere you went.
Okay, listen to what I'm saying.
You're not rotating the same amount.
You are still rotating... Listen. 360...
Oh, imagine what it would take like that for Antarctica.
Oh my goodness me. Andrew, 360 degrees in 24 hours. Do you understand that? Anywhere on Earth, that's what you get. Because the Earth rotates once every day.
I don't think that doesn't sound plausible to me, is what I'm saying. Why would it be degrees then 13 the further you go north?
Look at the globe, right? In one day, the whole thing rotates 360 degrees. No matter where you are, one day is 360 degrees of rotation. Divide 360 by 24. What do you get?
Wait, what? 300? I mean, was days by what? Days in a year by what?
No. Oh my goodness me. 360 divided by 24 is 15. You drift 15. You rotate 15 degrees per hour no matter where you are. Every point on the Earth goes 360 degrees in 24 hours. My fucking God. $2 from Matt R. Thank you very much. Right. So there's rotation. That's evident. Do you want some evidence, more evidence of the curve?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense to me that anywhere on the globe, including the North Pole, there's zero rotation.
Your inability to understand doesn't mean it isn't right.
And it's still 15 degree
per
rotation.
Hour. Per hour.
Yeah, per hour.
Because no matter where you are on the Earth, you go 360 degrees in one day, right? Everywhere on Earth has 24 hours for one day. And everywhere on Earth moves 360 degrees in one day. You divide 360 by the amount of hours in the day, you get 15 degrees per hour.
It's different rotational patterns. So if you're taking an object and setting it down here on the surface, over here in the equator, it's going to read differently. And when you bring it up over here onto a ball, on the top of the ball, and you're trying to make it for the same thing.
Are you trying to tell me that the equator would rotate more times than the North Pole?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
Well, then that's my point. both the equator
I'm saying
and
the rate is slower.
yeah, but
This is why you have a 1,000-mile-an-hour rotation.
no. You don't have 1,000 miles an hour rotation. You have 1,000 miles an hour linear speed. The rotation.
It's 0.0094 RPM or some shit.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with. That's the 15 degree per hour drift. The entire planet. Right. If I was to turn Andrew, right, Andrew, if I was to turn a ball one full rotation, how many degrees has every point of that ball gone?
That's what I'm saying.
360, right?
That's staring at it as a whole, like watching it. Yes. Every part of that ball will have rotated 360 degrees all the way around. Correct.
Which means
Absolutely.
that at every point on that ball, it's moving at 15 degrees per hour to make up 360 degrees in 24 hours. Because every point of the ball goes 360 degrees in one rotation.
No,
right?
That wouldn't work if you had that at the equator. It wouldn't work. How would it a difference? Or not?
Because the equator has moved 360. Andrew, right?
It makes sense if you have it at the North Pole, but if you
God.
bring it to the equator, the technology would fail.
Right. Let me ask you this, Andrew. Let me ask you this. One full rotation at the equator. How many degrees is that?
It depends on this. I honestly, I couldn't tell you because
you've just told me. You said that every point on the ball moves 360 degrees for one rotation, right? You agreed to that? Yeah?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right? So, if every point on the ball in 24 hours is moving 360 degrees, that means that every point on the ball will move 15 degrees per hour, regardless of its linear velocity. $2 from Matt R. What an idiot. FTFE wins again.
Yeah, no, I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm not disagreeing that it's going to go. What I am saying is you can't. How does it work? All right, so it works on a flat surface, correct? You have to lay down a flat surface. It tells you the rotation. This is at 50 degrees. You would have to be at the North Pole for this to operate.
No.
You cannot go to the equator, and it could tell you 15 degrees. You have it sideways.
No, that's not how the Sagnac effect works. It's measuring the amount of drift. Right, if you were to use an interferometric fiber optic gyro to measure the rotation of the Earth around our sun, in 1 year, it would register 360 degrees, about a degree a day. No matter where you are, the amount of degrees isn't going to change. The linear velocity has changed.
How old is this technology?
Sorry?
How old is this technology?
Fiber optic gyros have been about for quite a while. I mean, every single passenger plane in the world uses them. They have three actually: one to measure pitch, one to measure yaw, one to measure roll.
Well, I don't know if they're fiber optic.
Well, they are. That's what they use, fiber optic gyros. Older models use rigid gyroscopes with pendulous vanes to keep the vector of gravity pointing down. So the conclusion of this little physics lesson is that the Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour. Now, would you like some evidence that there's a curve? Because I'm guessing you haven't seen this from the way you reacted to the thing just now.
Honestly, I don't think you're hearing me or willing to see my side of what I'm saying, especially when like a boat reappearing. I've seen this multiple times.
I've shown you a video of that happening. But right, Andrew. This video is 40 seconds. All right, so pay attention to this video. It demonstrates that there is a curve. You ready?
If you're seeing through this hole, through the next hole, and seeing the light at the backboard or at 17 feet off the water, the Earth is flat. If he's holding it up at 23 feet high and we're seeing the light, well, that's because the Earth's curved. So I should only be able to see it when it's at 17 feet. Okay, go ahead and drive down there, Enrique. You're going to hold the light there. Enrique, how high is your light?
17 feet.
I mean, it's as... We don't see you, Enrique. Lift up
This
your
is long
light
distance,
way above your head.
so I'm kind of confused as
Interesting.
Oh,
to
interesting.
happened.
All right, bear me 1 second. I'm bringing in
Wait,
one of my
what happened?
buddies.
I saw like setting up an experiment, and then I saw like a light appear, and I was like,
Yeah, he explained what the experiment was for you. I imagine you weren't listening to that either, but never mind. Right, bear me 1 second.
Yeah,
I'm
okay.
just sending one of my friends who has a lot more experience in things like general and special relativity to help explain some very basic shit to you.
Debunk me, please.
Sorry, team. I've only just seen that message. There's your invite. Yeah, Jared, you're welcome to come on as well. I'll give you an invite. Maybe a different voice will help explain these things a bit better. If you just bear with me for 1 second. My system's just crashed.
90% what you're saying.
Oh, come on, vMix. Sorry, my streaming software has just crashed. 1 sec. Bear with me. All right, team, I've sent you an invite. I'm just going to send Jared one. Which did I give you, Joey's? I can give you this one. All right, Jared and team, you've both got links. You're welcome to come in and try and deal with this. Okay. Right, so evidence of curve and evidence of rotation. Where's he gone? You still there, Andrew?
Yo, I'm here.
Hey man, how you doing?
Hold on 1 second.
Right,
Let me mute
Jared
the.
and team, you both got links. You're
Let me
welcome
mute
to
the
come in
stream real
try
quick.
and deal with this.
I don't want to hear it. There it is, right there. Okay.
Hey, Jared.
All right.
Good
Before I
evening.
get started, I need to be fully informed on what drugs you are on.
Me? Kind of just, my daughter got hit by a dog earlier. That shit was kind of freaking me out.
That's not bit by a dog is not a drug. Bit by a dog is not a drug. I hate to be the one to inform you. And the Earth's not flat, so people have lied to you about many things apparently. Okay, so
White eyes. Yeah.
what is it that I heard some stupid shit earlier when I said, "Hey, let me in."
Sorry,
But,
I only just
I
seen
heard
the
you
link.
just now saying that he needs some concepts re-explained to him. What concepts are there? That
He
he's not
really
getting?
wasn't getting
or that you're
the-
not getting.
He really wasn't getting the Coriolis and the way that it works. He says his father was a bullet designer, therefore he knows the Coriolis.
Grandfather.
Grandfather, yeah. That one. So,
I watched plenty of
Do
long
you think
range.
Coriolis knowledge? Do you think Coriolis knowledge is something that is passed down through sex? Because it's
Wait, what
not.
through sex?
All right. Do you think the knowledge of Coriolis is passed down through sex, through actually the physical contact of two human beings having sex? Do you think Coriolis knowledge is passed on through the birth of children that have sex from people that know what Coriolis is? Okay,
Absolutely,
good,
it's
great.
taught.
That's a great thing.
By word of
All
mouth.
right, so okay, so here's the thing. Fight the Flat Earth asked you a very simple question earlier, and you kind of neglected to answer it. You kind of just glazed over it. Would you please define what Coriolis is? Just what Coriolis is. Just define what it is, not what it does, what it is.
As a whole, like it's an effect. I only have remedial terminology on what the Coriolis effect is.
Okay, how about this? Just define it in your best possible, like the way you understand it.
The rotation of the Earth conducts the construction of the bullet. is how it's explained.
Okay, so yeah, that's how it's explained. So what, and that's wrong, but I'll just, in very basic terms, yes, that's fine. That we'll go with that. But can you explain what Coriolis means to you?
Explain it. I would say it is actually EMR forces.
It cut out a little bit. What'd you say? I'm sorry, it cut out a little bit.
Electromagnetic radioactive forces emitting from Earth is actually what I think changes the trajectory of the metal.
Okay, so let me get this right. The electromagnetic radioactive forces of the Earth.
That's what he said.
Do you have any clue what any one of those words mean?
Yes.
Okay.
Then you would.
So
if you knew what. Okay, go ahead, Jared. Go ahead.
Yeah, because this is going. This is going right in. This is going
Andrew,
right into
listen.
my wheelhouse. So, Andrew, I'm curious if the EM radioactive, whatever you want to call it, is what's at play. Do you know how that would be quantified? How it would be measured?
Similar to how it's currently done.
Which is how? I'm trying to understand what your foundational knowledge is on the subject before we can go further.
You would basically have to replace. You're just replacing gravity with EMR forces. Now it's only acting on metal.
No, that was not my question. That was not my question. That was not my question. My question to you was, how would you measure this electromagnetic radiation you are asserting is at play?
Any meter. I want to know the proper term. I don't know the proper terminology. Any meter that can detect it, whether it's through a radar system or just electro. An EM radar system.
Radar doesn't work like that. Radar does not work like that, and you have two people experienced with radar.
Jared, wasn't that literally your job in the Navy?
Airborne radar systems, yes.
No, hold on.
Ground-based.
Hold on.
Tell me.
So let's really dive into what you just said there, because actually you make a good point. If gravity was electromagnetic radiation, we would detect it with radars.
See, that's where I knew you're gonna confuse the two. I'm not replacing gravity with that at all. It's not. They are.
Okay. Well, then every time. Okay. Hold on. No. You're misinterpreting. Anything that you say is attributed to electromagnetic radiation would be able to be detected by a radar that was tuned to that frequency. Okay? So if you say that electromagnetic radiation is what causes the bullets to have a Coriolis effect on them, then we would be able to measure this effect. We would be able to measure this radiation using equipment designed to measure that radiation.
What?
Okay.
What you are measuring, that rotation that does exist, that's what I'm saying, is the EMR. That's the force acting upon the bullet. You're saying it's gravity.
Where's the EMR coming from? Where is the EMR coming from?
EMR. It's everywhere. It's constant. The only
way to measure it is.
And what's beyond south?
All right, so you're going back to what initially perked my interest in. What is your understanding of how an interferometer works? I know Fight here had showed you a display earlier. Did you understand what was actually being shown? Can you, in your own words, explain what was going on and what it resulted in to me, please?
I would expect it would be as the Earth rotated, it for every degree it didn't bounce back to the mirror. The light didn't bounce back to the mirror.
No, I'm just talking. I'm just talking about the apparatus itself. Again, you're jumping multiple steps ahead. I just asked how the effect and the apparatus itself, from your understanding, not anything related to the Earth yet, just the apparatus itself.
I mean, I've seen similar equipment. I've never actually researched this specifically. This one,
Okay.
I don't really have an argument or debate yet.
So thank you for admitting you haven't researched it. Are you willing to listen from people who actually have experience with these mechanisms to explain what is taking place and how we know that?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Team, do you want to go first or should I continue?
Well, okay. Are we gonna do Coriolis Force, or are we gonna jump to something
Sagnac.
else? Because I want to make sure we
Sagnac.
stick on Sagnac. Okay.
Back to the beginning.
You have. Okay, so Fight the Flat Earth has. Do you have the graphic that shows how the interference pattern is formed?
Yeah, I'll get that back up one sec. Sorry, I'd removed it. I put it back on. Oh. Go. Okay, it's playing.
What's the name of the equipment?
Interferometric fiber optic gyroscope.
Oh, okay. Now I see it. All right. So you see what's happening here. All right. So what's happening is when this light goes and it hits this thing, it splits the beam in two. Each light travels the same distance, the same physical distance. Okay, meaning that you see the paths that they're taking. If you were to leave this thing stationary and measure each one of those paths, then those paths will equal the same thing. So that when the light comes back together on that plate, it either interferes with itself or it does not. Okay? Now, if that plate is not moving or rotating or anything, if it's just sitting there, then what's going to happen is you will always get those two beams of light meeting at the plate at the exact same time. Now, if you rotate it, what you do as you rotate it, you make one path slightly shorter than the other path. All right? Now, because these two paths are slightly shorter with each other, they're not going to be in phase with one another. They're going to be out of phase with each other, and a different pattern will appear on the the measuring screen at the end. Now, the pattern itself will move. As that pattern moves, we can measure how much that pattern moves by. All right, and the pattern moves according to the reference frame being rotated around the center point of the Earth. Do you understand that so far?
Yes. No.
Oh God, you have me on mute, Craig.
Not only do I think that's similar to the Aether experiment, but I also think that's false. So that would only work in the it would only work in the North Pole. It would literally zero.
Okay, so you said that before. Let me correct that statement right now. It would not only. Hang on,
Andrew, let Jared explain to you.
Andrew, this is why I wanted you to quietly listen, because again, you are repeating the claim that by your understanding, this would only work at the North Pole. That is not correct, because the previous clip that Craig had played from Bob Super Noodle Doodle of Globebusters.
Thanks, Bob.
What he had was a 3-axis version of this, which meant that the machine itself, the box itself, had 3 of these going at once. One aligned to the x-axis, one aligned to the y-axis, and one aligned to the z-axis. So so you had 3 of them going on at once. So while one axis at any one time was not getting the full 15 degree per hour deflection, all of the 3 combined based on orientation will still measure it. That's how this will work in a 3-dimensional space away from polar alignment.
All right.
Yeah, this is just a two-dimensional. This is just a two-dimensional interferometer that he's showing.
Can you show me anybody doing this experiment and pulling this off? Or is it
Bob
just
from
a weird-
Globebusters did it. No, Bob, a flat earther from Globebusters did it himself. Every navigation system on modern Navy ships is based on this.
This guy did it. He did the experiment. This guy on screen right now.
Airplanes are based on it. When was the last time you flew in a commercial jet?
A couple months ago, I'm pretty sure it's just one gyroscope.
God damn it, guess what? The technology that we're talking about now probably got you from where you were at to where you are today. Be thankful,
And
man.
here's-
Quit being so goddamn disingenuous. You guys are pieces of shit is what you
This
are.
is why I'm discussing whether it's fraud or not, because
Andrew?
It's not fucking fraud, dude. Quit fucking sitting back there and speaking from a position of ignorance, and you don't even know what the fuck Coriolis is, but god damn it, you're ready to say it's not fucking right. You're fucking stupid, man. Why don't you shut the fuck up and listen to people and let us explain some shit to you? Maybe you'll learn something today.
I'm listening.
Well, I don't know. It seems to be going in one ear and out the other. Go on,
Okay,
Jared.
so if you were listening, what was the correction to your initial assumption and claim that it would only work at the pole?
Like I said, if it works, it works. It's
No.
I got nothing against it. I don't have a debate. I literally have not researched this.
You
I
really
will
should, then.
repeat my I will repeat my question. I will repeat my question.
Andrew, let Jared ask the question.
Andrew, I am trying to repeat the question because you apparently did not understand it. If you were paying attention and actually listening to us, to me specifically, what was the answer I gave you of why your claim... Oh, thank you for admitting that. Why are you still here?
I'm still not paying attention to you.
Why not? You've been badgering me for this debate. Why aren't you paying attention?
Huh? I don't like being spoken
Why-
to the way you guys speaking.
Why
Every time I respond,
why-
you guys fucking tell me to shut up. It's fucking
No.
child.
No,
Because you
Andrew,
talk over all the
Andrew,
time.
I
Andrew,
fucking talk over
where-
you. Man, this is
Andrew,
called reality.
Andrew, I have a question for you. Andrew, I have a legitimate question for you. Where was I disrespectful to you in this exchange?
Well, you said fuck you.
That was not me.
That was, yeah. That,
I don't know who it was.
Again,
voices.
listen carefully.
I said
When
shut the
was
fuck
I-
up. I said
Yeah.
shut the fuck up.
Yeah, you're talking to 3 people with very distinct voices. So again, Andrew, where did I personally disrespect you in this conversation?
I don't know who it was. I don't know if it was you, if it might have not been you.
Okay.
The moment you showed up with some intelligence, Jared, he felt disrespected.
yeah.
Well, pro
No, it
tip,
was around
Andrew.
the time someone said,
Hey,
fuck
Pro
you.
tip, pro tip,
You're on the
pro
fucking
tip, Andrew.
called disrespect.
Andrew.
He's
An-
muted,
Andrew,
so.
calm down. All right, Andrew, I did not disrespect you at any point. I tried to find a common point of your knowledge base so we could have a starting point. You even agreed to listen to the explanation, and now you just admitted that you weren't listening. That is a very disrespectful stance to take with someone when you are trying to have a conversation.
But I was actually fucking listening. It's obvious. Go back and look. I was right there
Then-
through the entire
then
conversation.
why are you refusing?
Want to take it? I'm not fucking listening.
Then why did you say you weren't listening when I tried to get it back on track? Why did you admit to not listening when I tried to get this back on track by asking you a question about what we had spoken about 5 minutes
What I
ago?
felt like saying.
So you
Exactly what I
felt like
saying.
So you just felt like being a
you-
dick.
Yeah, it felt like being a fucking dick.
Well, you're displaying yourself as a dick very well for the 500 people watching right now. They all think you're a dick.
Oh.
Every single one of them.
Isn't that
Yeah, exactly. When you turn up
Oh,
and
no,
act
what am
like
I
a
gonna
dick,
do?
you're going to be treated like a dick. If you turned up to this conversation and
You
actually...
act like a mom talking to a bunch of 14-year-old girls, man.
Well, you sound like someone...
Okay, how you judge me?
Right, you are like all flat earthers who don't know how to have a conversation. You turn up and just act like a disrespectful cunt. You don't care about the conversation. You're muted right now. No one can hear you, so just rant as much as you like. All right? So you are disrespectful. Yeah, you gone? Good. Right, I'm glad he's left, to be honest. What a fucking piece of shit, eh?
Damn, I wanted to let him know. I was adding it up right now. There's 18 fuck you Andrews in the chat right now, so it isn't just us saying it.
Well done, chat. I'll just get through these super chats quickly. Joe Cook for $1.99 says, I never knew someone could be this stupid. Have you not been watching my channel? Good lord. Matt Chubbins for $2 says, Yo, Andrew, your sound quality is garbage. Go inside. Yeah, was he fucking sitting like on a balcony with his computer or something?
I think he was fucking sitting on his thumb.
Yeah, $2 Canadian from Odin Thera, the Riot. Sorry if I got that wrong. Andrew, lay off the pot and go back to school for fuck's sake. $5 from Matt R. Andrew, you can't live in your parents' basement forever. We tend to outlive them. $2 Canadian from Glass Monster. He has no brain. $5 from Jet Guitars. You would need so much electricity pumped through everything to keep it stuck to the ground that our houses would become a Faraday cage and we'd float. $2 from Andrew Morgan. Try explaining it to Flat Earth Andrew using puppets. Yeah, on the puppet, where did knowledge hurt you? And $5 New Zealand dollars from Citizen Gold. Andrew, people would stop speaking to you like a child if you would stop acting like one. Exactly. Oh,
No,
man.
hey, I remember what got me into this conversation, why I sent that, because the dude, listen, he was doing his best to fuck with people. He didn't understand what you meant by everything on the globe rotates at 15 degrees per hour. He wants to fucking explain Coriolis, but can't explain how every point on the Earth rotates at 15 degrees per hour. He didn't just say that, but he argued with you. And then even after you fucking so elegantly explained it to him, he still fucking didn't get it. That dude was a fucking dipshit.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Andrew.
That was one of the stupidest people I've spoken to. And people are saying, oh, Poe. But I genuinely don't think he's a Poe. I think the nervous laughter he was doing was because he felt intimidated by people with actually a modicum of intelligence. I mean, to have Jared here and you here, both of you extremely knowledgeable in things like that because of your specific jobs in the military, it genuinely intimidated him.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, anything. That's why I said, me and Jared, we can both vouch for this. Any fucking, if something was if it was electromagnetism that was causing something, okay, to occur, if it was causing storms to rotate, we'd be able to measure that.
Yeah.
We'd have to do is use specific optical equipment, and when I say optical, I don't necessarily mean the visible light range. I'm talking about all frequencies of electromagnetic radiation. We can look into the smaller and smaller, wavelengths or the higher and higher wavelengths. All we'd have to do is get an idea of what wavelength this radiation was, and we could measure it. It's that fucking simple.
Yeah. Any thoughts, Jared?
No, that really is exactly it. My whole thing was to try to come in and actually be a voice to try to quell things a bit, just to get them to try to calm down and actually have something resembling an honest discussion, which when he agreed to have it, then we tried to give our explanations. And then the biggest thing is the follow-up, the question of, okay, you're claiming you were paying attention and you were listening. Please repeat back to me the answer that I gave you. And he didn't. He admitted at that point he wasn't listening. At that point, that just proves your dishonesty and your lack of interest in having an actual discussion. That is why people don't want to interact and why they immediately go to derision and the angry, vehement types of attacks instead of actually trying to discuss and address the questions.
Yeah, I think that's flat earthers in general at the moment.
Yeah, Brown01 asked, would radar pick that up? Yeah, no, radar would pick that up for sure.
It can.
The radar was designed to. Okay, so here's the thing about radars are similar. The easiest way to think about them is like think about your radio. Your radio is really a radar receptor because it's receiving an electromagnetic frequency, a radio wave. All right, so it's catching all of them. All the radio waves are coming in through your antenna. All of them from the cosmic radiation, everything. Your radio is picking all of that up. But here's the thing is there's these resistors and all these on the inside, these little parts that filter out everything but one specific frequency. So as you twist the dial, let's say like on an old school radio, you're twisting the dial, you're actually twisting a variable resistor that you are turning up its resistance and down its resistance, and by doing that you're changing the frequency of the radio of the electromagnetic radiation that you're letting through. So if it was electromagnetic radiation, there should be a way to detect it using some kind of radar or optical device.
Yeah. Just want to say, someone in the chat, Professor Philip Bell, he actually came on yesterday. He's been commenting on my videos for ages, and yours, teams. He's actually a proper professor in Australia, and he's worked on the lunar, the Indian space, the thing that hit the moon. He worked on that specifically, and he came on yesterday during my stream and gave a very good explanation of what gravity is. I think he'd be a good
Professor
person.
Phil Bell. Yeah, that's. I was going to say that. That was somebody who a couple of people had asked me to reach out to ask him to come on to Science or Satire.
Yeah,
so the fact
absolutely.
that he's actually in here,
Yeah.
would be a good time to, Professor Phil Bell, if you want to come on to an episode of Science or Satire, then let's do it, man.
Absolutely,
let's bring you on.
100%. I mean, I don't think we've got a guest for Friday, do we?
No. In fact, we could bring him on Friday.
Yeah. Prof. Bell, if you're free on Friday, we would love to have you on for an episode of Science or Satire. I absolutely adore talking to people that are way smarter than me.
That's the other thing, and Janie makes a good point here, okay? So let's say it is magnetic radiation. What's the source? Is it the
Magic.
Is it the surface of the Earth? Yeah, you have to excuse me. If it's the surface of the Earth, then it's a little bit different because gravity doesn't originate from the surface of the Earth. Gravity originates, Newtonian gravity originates from the center of the Earth. So that's where we measure what the strength is from the center. So if it was electromagnetic radiation and you were measuring it from the surface, then it would have a much faster fall off than it would if we were measuring it from the center of the Earth.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's...
Wow, that was an interesting... Sorry, go on, Jared.
Minor correction for your team. I actually took a look. Most of your radios, what actually changes the carrier frequency in the middle is actually a variable inductor, not the resistor. Although it does have a resistance to it. It's,
yeah. Well, the way we were taught when we were taught in school was using I think it was a resistor capacitor in parallel. And you could tune the resistor by changing the different strengths of the resistor. You could filter out different wavelengths. It did like an add, subtract, and then I think it soloed each one of them out as well. When you bring them in as like it combined, I think it pulls them apart like that.
Well,
but I would have to
where
look
you
it
get.
up. I mean, it's been a long time.
Yeah, well, that's where you get into reactive capacitance, inductive capacitance, and all of those other bits. The main one that I found fun to play with.
Chat, if you could just initiate the Vicky treatment for Les Moore, that would be wonderful.
The one that I found more fun to play with, actually, the emergency radios that my shop always took care of. It was literally an air core wire wound inductor that was the channel selection for the radios, because they were only a 3-channel system and it was all the emergency signals. So 243, 188, 182.8, and 288, if I remember the third one correctly. And the way we would actually tune it to make sure that it was in its place is we would actually play with the distance in the gaps of the coil.
Did not do it. $10 from Chris Kelling. Shout out to my fellow ham radio operators who well stepped in use and detection. Thank you. And $5 from Rangerman9404. Team Skeptic, an old school radio tunes with a variable capacitor, not a resistor. Got a ding ya.
Yeah, but I think I just said that though. Well, but I said it was a variable resistor. I could have got them backwards. But yeah, there's a formula for it that we learned going through our electronics school, where it would teach you how to or what combination of resistors and capacitors together would give you the frequency you were looking for. So you could tune out all the other frequencies, basically.
Mandevil says that I think FTFE's destroyed a circadian cycle with 20-hour stream. He can never sleep at night again. Yeah, I would have gone to bed a couple hours ago if Andrew didn't send me like 1,000 emails demanding to destroy me in debate. I don't think that... Flat Earthers just go on and embarrass themselves now. But we are going to shut this down because, you know what, my kids will be up for school in about 2 hours and I might try and get a little bit of sleep before that happens. Just two Australian guys from
Matthew Matthews. Yeah, I was going to say, he just gave you a super chat.
I'm so late. Is the Earth still round? No, we just got totally destroyed and we all think it's flat now. But yeah.
No, look, hey, he can answer that question. He can answer that question for himself. Just ask yourself, Matthew Matthews, are you still upside down? If the answer is no, then the Earth is flat. Bottom line, Matthew Matthews.
Bottom line, we're not allowed to say that. That's Russian vids. But team, thank you for coming on, and Jared, thank you for coming on. It's nice to see you on the channel. What have you guys got coming up? You got anything special you're working on, Jared?
Actually, since some of the benefits of YouTube have decided to grace me with them, the memberships, I'm actually going to be expanding what's going on the channel starting later this week.
Awesome. I look forward to that. I saw you had memberships. That's awesome. And team, I know you're working on a couple of videos. We talked about that earlier, didn't we?
Yeah, I have my video coming out in the next day or so, and then I have to work on a Simon Dan video. I'm putting a video out on his channel, so yeah,
cool.
Guys, be on the lookout.
Wait, are we finally finding Simon Dan's legs?
I don't know. He says he's got them, but I've not seen any evidence.
Damn.
I know, right?
I had my hopes up.
Professor Philip Bell says he will email me about the show. I really hope we can have you on, because when you came on and explained gravity, I really enjoyed the way that you explained it. It was actually a very a new way to talk about gravity, and I think we could go a lot deeper into that. But we're going to shut it down for tonight, guys, because I need to get a little bit of sleep. Thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you for super chatting. Thank you for having fun in the chat. Thank you, Jared and team, both for coming on. And remember, everyone, stupidity is not a right. Fight the flat earth. Fight the flat. Fight the flat. Fight the flat.